The Trump administration is going to the Supreme Court to block SNAP food benefits just hours after a judge ordered them to pay out. And Colorado started making plans to get benefits to hundreds of thousands of Coloradans as soon as tomorrow. This latest court ruling forces the Trump administration to pay out those SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. The state says it is waiting on approval to get benefits to go on to debit cards, and that could happen as early as tomorrow. Some SNAP beneficiaries in other states have already started receiving their full payments today. The USDA began processing the payments even as the Trump administration has been fighting in court to not fund that program. Airlines are canceling some flights at the direction of the Trump administration due to the government shutdown. It's because of the strain on the FAA. Our Mark Salinger talked with DIA's largest carrier, United, about how they decided which flights to cancel at the last minute.
Today seemed like any other boring day at Denver International Airport.
Do you happen to be impacted by any of the canceled flights? No. That's good. Were you on a canceled flight today by chance? No? So far. That's good. Were you guys impacted at all by the canceled flights? Excuse me, were you impacted at all with canceled flights? No. No, that's good. Yeah. Safe travels.
We tried to find the chaos.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack, which is a good thing.
Airlines began canceling 4% of flights from the airport today after an FAA mandate. 74 in total at DIA. To understand that impact, let's use a metaphor everyone in Colorado can understand.
21 flights today is not huge for us. That's like a minor snowstorm. A medium snowstorm, we do around 50, 55 flights. So when we go to 10%, it'll be like if we got hit by a medium snowstorm here in Denver.
We did find Jonna McGrath, the vice president of airport operations for United in Denver, and a whole lot of journalists wanting to talk to her. She says the airline's main focus is on trying to cancel flights strategically to try and limit impacts.
For example, like Colorado Springs, we run 12 flights a day. We're running 8 flights a day now.
Were you impacted by the canceled flights at all? No? Good.
Most of the people with canceled flights were notified yesterday and didn't come to the airport.
Do you have a canceled flight today by chance?
I do not.
That's good. For travel chaos, there's not a lot of travel chaos.
United says around 50% were rebooked onto other flights within 4 hours of their original time.
The Secretary of Transportation says that they're doing this FAA slowdown in order to keep people safe. Does United agree that this is necessary in order to keep people safe?
You know, United is focused on making sure we comply with the mandate. We don't have the same data, the same information. We're going to do our part, making sure everyone is safe.
People were affected for sure. But at the airport, there weren't too many of those people for this reporter to talk to.
Do you happen to have a canceled flight today?
No.
That's good.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's very good. It's rejection after rejection. United is choosing not to cancel any international flights or flights flying from hub to hub. That's to make sure that the vast majority of their planes continue to fly. Some of the smaller, shorter flights were canceled first, like let's say Denver to Colorado Springs or Denver to Montrose, for example. But we also saw places like Dallas, for example, seeing canceled flights too, because there's so many flights that fly there every day. So if they cancel one, they'll just put them on the next one.
Sure, and I imagine, right, it's a bottom line issue, so they don't want to cancel profitable flights or full flights. They got to have planes where they need them for that kind of thing. But I mean, is this really helping the situation with air traffic control?
So I talked to an air traffic controller yesterday, and we also spoke with another air traffic controller there at the airport today, who both told me it's like if you cancel 10% of your flights, it's not really doing a whole lot. Air traffic controllers are still doing pretty much the same amount of work, just slightly less, so they might finish their work a little bit sooner. But when it comes to safety, if that's the real concern, they say just give the air traffic controllers a paycheck. That's how you make things more safe.
Yeah. If this gets to Thanksgiving, people are going to get chippy.
Buckle up.
Yeah, they're going to get real chippy. Mark Salinger, thank you. Denver's mayor and city council have agreed to compromise on next year's city budget. Today, Mayor Mike Johnston signed off on the final budget after a showdown over police funding this week. The $1.6 billion budget is slimmed down from previous year's spending. The mayor and city council are dealing with a $200 million budget deficit, so there have been budget cuts, layoffs, and vacant positions eliminated. But city council was not down with some of the mayor's more recent budget cut suggestions. So they voted this week to dip into the city's contingency funds to reverse the mayor's cuts to the clerk and recorder's office to run elections and to fund some work programs for the homeless. They also moved some funding from the police and public safety budgets and put it toward mental health and police co-responder programs. The mayor today signed off on all of City Council's changes to the budget, but did say that he's concerned about drawing so much out of the city's emergency reserves. One new neighbor is changing the real estate market in a section of Denver. I mean, it makes sense because the new neighbor is the Broncos stadium coming to Burnham Yard in 2031. Our Spencer Soisher looks at how it's already shifting the property market there.
Gambling comes with risk.
This neighborhood was always interesting to us, being infill and in the city.
And Jake Malman with Malman Real Estate may have just played his hand very well.
We bought this building in May of this year, so about 4 months before the announcement.
Malman's building is just west of Burnham Yard, and he pulled the trigger on the deal when it was clear Burnham Yard was one of the potential sites for the new Broncos stadium.
Our plan here was to buy this building, hope for some good news with the Broncos, which we got, and exit the building and sell it to someone else for a premium.
Malman has now been involved in 2 deals in the area, just west of where the Broncos are planning to build their new stadium. His firm recently helped broker a deal to sell this warehouse off-market to a developer for $5.4 million.
So $5.4 million for an acre of land, roughly an acre of land, is about $125 per land square foot, which is very high.
MSU Denver real estate professor Jeff Pesciut says not all buyers and sellers are willing to gamble, and he doesn't expect the floodgates to really open until zoning changes happen here.
It always depends on the zoning. So what you can use it for, how densely you can use it.
The solicitations in the area have already begun, like this message sent to our Marshall Zellinger about property near the site. Marshall's a smart dude, but he didn't foresee the Broncos' plans years ago and doesn't actually own property over here.
E-blast calls, knocking on doors.
That message came from Chase Grimes with Pinnacle Advisors. He's trying to meet and help property owners near Burnham Yard.
On the very surface level right now, I'm just trying to meet people, kind of hear them out, and understand their real estate needs.
The Broncos don't plan to move in here until 2031, but the plans for people around it have already begun.
Anytime you're close to a large-scale development like that, anything on the peripheral will benefit from it.
All right, so we're not entirely sure how Marshall ended up on this email blast that guy was sending out, but Malman says they plan to hold on to the building they just bought for at least a year and a day to avoid having to pay any short-term capital gains. He thinks there's already people having the same discussions right now, and that we'll start seeing more of these deals soon.
Mm-hmm. I imagine, though, Spencer, that until all of the zoning minutia is sorted out, like there is risk in saying, like, I'm going to grab land and not know what you can do with it long run.
Right, and that's what the professor said. He said this is sort of a two-pronged thing. They, one, needed that bond to pass this past week for the infrastructure and roads around it. And then the second part is figuring out the zoning aspect of this, how dense some of these things can be, what type of zoning they'll get in this industrial area at the moment.
All right, Spencer Soisher reporting. Thank you, Spencer. A new state law requiring social media companies to post warnings for young users is on hold for now. A federal judge paused the law yesterday because of a lawsuit from social media companies. This law passed last year requires social media companies to display frequent pop-up messages to users under the age of 18, warning them about the impact of prolonged social media use on brain development. A trade association representing social media giants like Meta, X, and YouTube is trying to overturn the state law. They claim being forced to post those disclosures is a free speech violation. Yesterday, a federal judge said he appreciates what Colorado's trying to do here, but that social media companies are, quote, substantially likely to win in court. So he's putting the law on pause while the case continues. So we don't know if Coloradans are going to see SNAP food benefits tomorrow. Court ruled today that they must go out, but now the Trump administration is fighting it. They're asking the Supreme Court to intervene late tonight. In the meantime, let's keep doing what we can to help feed our neighbors. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the nonprofit Benefits in Action. They have a free food delivery program for low-income seniors in Denver, Adams, Arapahoe, and Jefferson counties. They delivered nearly 16,000 boxes of food to people in need last year. And they tell me that more and more these days, they are hearing from older folks in our community who are desperate. They are worried, and they are not certain how they're going to be able to afford food. We can help. Scan that QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. Since Wednesday, you all have raised more than $40,000. This is tremendous. If you've proven the power of microgiving because you stack up these $5 donations, and that's how you've raised $16 million over the last 5 years for Colorado's nonprofits. And as always, I match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us going. More than 6,000 of you have used that same QR code or text to sign up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. Put in your info once, and you don't have to remember to do it every week. Your donation's automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature, and that means in addition to the $40,000 you raise, there will be another $30,000 coming from those monthly donors. Voters in Central City reject a plan to allow strip clubs on Main Street. So how about the one that's already there? Well, they're getting creative. Negotiations are down to the wire ahead of a big deadline for the states that share the Colorado River.
My good news is that I am here at the first CSU Snow Days.
And if you're thinking, but wait, there's no snow, hold on, you got to see what CSU did today. That's next. Central City voters want to keep SOBs out of their community. Sexually oriented businesses, SOBs. And that is why Rick's Cabaret and Steakhouse in Central City will be Rick's Steakhouse for the foreseeable future. Central City's ballot question 2A might seem kind of vague, but it is pretty straightforwardly about Rick's. It asked voters to allow SOBs on Main Street, and voters were like, not interested. Went down by 14 points. The Cabaret and Steakhouse opened a location on Main Street earlier this year in defiance of the city's zoning rules for sexually oriented businesses. Rick's has been fighting for one of these SOB permits for years now. In the meantime, they say that they are staying within the rules because their dancers are covered up in latex that, quote, works so well, people think they're nude. Feels like something that we should investigate. While we're on the subject of making it rain, the 7 states that share the Colorado River have just a few days left to come to a consensus on how they will share the river water during times of drought. The feds want a rough agreement by Tuesday, or else they say that they're going to decide for the states. The states in the upper basin of the river, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and Wyoming, have been in a standoff with the lower basin states, Arizona, California, Nevada, for years now. One of the biggest sticking points is whether the upper basin states should have to make more drastic cuts to their water usage during drought years. Colorado and the upper basin states argue that they are already using less water than they are legally allowed most years. The upper basin states say they're willing to make some more voluntary cuts in dry years, but the lower basin states say they want more of a guarantee. The current river sharing agreement has been in place since 2007. The new rules would take effect in the fall of 2026 and impact the 40 million Americans who rely on that river for water. You know, meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen, this reminds me, it's not going to be all that long before we start talking about snowpack, right? I mean, there is a little bit of snow, but I don't know if you can call it a pack at this point.
Yeah, you know, they start tracking it about the second week of October. So we're into the snowpack season. And when it comes to the headwaters of the Colorado River, it looks like we're going to be in one of those drought years because we are way behind already. 80% less snow than we normally have this time of year. We have not seen a start to this like this in our mountains in 21 years. Since 2004, we have a slow start like this. We are tracking our first Arctic cold front of the season, though. That's at least going to bring us some colder, chillier air over the weekend. The nasty stuff is going to stay out here towards the East Coast. We're going to ride the edge of that. So chilly on Saturday and Sunday. Here we are on Monday. As this thing goes down to Florida, we're in the clear. Probably going to be 70 degrees on Monday. Here's the look at your forecast for tomorrow. Into the middle 50s for high temperatures. So it will be chilly. You'll need an extra layer because keep in mind there will be some cold wind coming from the north both Saturday and Sunday. Look, here's the temperatures on Sunday morning. We could see our teens for the first time here on the Front Range in some areas. Forecast at DIA 22 degrees on Sunday morning. So when you look at your 7-day forecast here, we'll get through this chilly weekend here, breezy conditions both days, especially Saturday, and then we'll break back into a warm, dry pattern that'll last at least 6 to 7 days here. Temperatures in the upper 60s and low 70s with no chance of precipitation going through the next 5 days.
So you know, we share your good news each Friday, rain or shine, or snow. We head up to CSU for a celebration of all things frozen, even as we sit in this warm fall. Hey, a reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus. And Next is a podcast each weeknight, wherever you find those. This season's snow hasn't arrived yet, but CSU is in the mood for winter today, so that's where we headed to ask our favorite Friday question. What's your good news?
Our good news is the launch of Snow Days. This is our first celebration of what's going to be an annual tradition celebrating the amazing thing that is Colorado's outdoor recreation economy. The outdoor economy is $13 billion, 130,000 jobs in Colorado. It's a huge part of what makes us who we are. So at Snow Days, you'll find vendors and partners from across the state.
Our good news is that we have a curling sheet here to help promote recreational activity, both indoors and outdoors, and both within the Olympic and Paralympic movement and as a whole.
My good news is that I am here at the first CSU Snow Days, and it's really cool to be here to see what's going on. I'm with an organization, we focus on mountains around the world and their sustainability.
Our goal for Snow Days is that we're bringing together our community, our students, faculty, staff, community members, people from across Colorado to celebrate all the great things here. And maybe the weather forecast changes in the next couple of weeks and we start to get some snow dropping here as well.
I'm serving as public relations for BSA Black Student Alliance. My good news is raising accessibility for the mountains so that people have access to experience that.
The world relies on water from mountains, so I'm really glad to see us focusing on snow and the fun we can have in the snow and how important it is to our lives.
We'll have all sorts of opportunities to come see the great things that make Colorado special.
We're excited to be here.
You know, one of the things that I appreciate most about the conversations that we have here on Next is that we don't just tell you the news, right? You can get that a lot of places. Try to have a discussion about the news, and we also spend some time talking about how journalists gather it, which is why I really think that you will appreciate a documentary that is airing this weekend on 9 News. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the journalists of Colorado at work, a doc that also examines important questions about journalism under threat from economic and political forces.
It's a tricky time. We're being attacked for being biased.
People see CNN and MSNBC as slanted, Fox News as slanted. So of course your local news must also be slanted in some way.
The hour-long documentary, Truth Be Told, follows teams of journalists in the metro Denver area as well as in small towns like Ouray and Cortez. It looks at challenges and joys in local journalism, where you're often reporting on people that you know, for better or for worse. And it explores how journalists are fighting to maintain trust amid attacks on the free press. You will recognize a couple of familiar faces from 9 News, past and present, in this documentary. Truth Be Told will air Sunday at 10:30 in the morning on Channel 9, followed by a half-hour conversation that I moderated alongside past, present, and future journalists. It'll air again on Channel 20 on Sunday at 7. We are back with your feedback. Here's Marilyn with that. Thank you. That's next. All right, it's Friday. What do you say that we skip the negative feedback and the nasty grams and the political stuff and just read some fun feedback about clothes? Michael in Aurora says, since it's Friday, decided to send a nice message, just said, looking sharp, looking sharp. A lot of feedback about Corey Reppenhagen tonight. Text, please tell Corey he looks very dapper in his beautiful suit. Holly says, love Corey's suit. He is looking hot tonight. Ma'am, this is a newscast. Tone it down. Chris in Lakewood says, favorite suit jacket ever. When did you wear it last? What does the index card in the inside pocket say? It says I last wore this one in March of 2024.